Welcome to Psychology Refresh. Today we're going to rank MBTI personalities based on crying. Make sure to watch each one and find out which personalities cry the most. Some personality types tend to cry a lot, and some just never do it. Each individual has their own propensity to cry, however, based on general tendencies, we have ranked each one of 16 personality types in one of these categories. Here is the MBTI personalities ranking based on crying. Number 1. ISTJ. ISTJs typically suppress their emotions and don't cry all that much. They typically make an effort to maintain their stoicism since they find it difficult to express themselves in public. ISTJs genuinely care about the people in their lives and will go to great lengths to support them. They simply don't want to appear frail, and if they cry in front of people, they could feel way too vulnerable. When no one can criticize them or misinterpret their unhappiness, ISTJs are much more inclined to cry when they are alone. It takes a lot of trust for the ISTJ to be able to express their emotions honestly, but once they can, they are likely to stay in that relationship for life. Number 2. ISFJ. It's not typical for ISFJs to cry readily or out loud. The ISFJ frequently needs a pretty major crisis or catastrophe to have them cry in public. They simply don't share their feelings since it makes them uncomfortable to be so openly vulnerable in front of others. But the ISFJ might discover that they are unable to hold back for very long if they repress their suffering for too long. They'll probably only cry by themselves because they need to express their feelings. The ISFJ may come off as a lot more reserved and stern since they never want to seem like they are a bother to others. Number 3. ESTJ. Rarely do ESTJs allow themselves to become emotional and cry. Because they do not want to appear weak to others, they typically try to keep their emotions to themselves. If they allow themselves to cry in front of them, ESTJs may feel as though they are being judged. The only difference between them and other individuals is that they don't feel comfortable expressing their emotions to others. In front of someone they strongly trust, ESTJs may allow themselves to shed a few tears or perhaps even cry a little. If you are enjoying our content, please give this video a like, subscribe to our channel, and do not forget to turn on the notification bell. Number 4. ESFJ. Because ESFJs are so sensitive to other people's feelings, they may suppress their own feelings. The ESFJ frequently keeps their suffering to themselves if they believe that crying will burden those around them. Now, even though they are warm and compassionate individuals, ESFJs can occasionally be perceived as being considerably more stern. They frequently become upset over trivial things and cry when they watch or hear sad movies or stories. Simply put, they won't express their emotions in public and typically only do this when they are alone. Number 5. INFJ. INFJs may find it difficult to cry when they are attempting to be strong for their loved ones. They frequently suppress their tears out of concern that they may upset those around them or appear to be a problem. Since they do not want to appear weak, INFJs who are feeling guarded are prone to hold back their tears. However, INFJs may cry on their own and view this as a safe way to express their emotions. An INFJ will probably feel more at ease letting themselves cry after they have reached the point where they are allowing their functions to grow. They are incredibly perceptive to their surroundings and easily feel emotionally overwhelmed by the tiniest things. INFJs who have reached adulthood tend to cry readily and are completely content to do so in private. Number 6. INFP. There is no doubt that INFPs have sensitive souls and a tremendous range of emotions. Despite their reputation as being sensitive, INFPs are not inclined to cry frequently. Because their feelings are so inward and private, INFPs frequently don't feel the need to express them publicly. They regularly face sadness and think about these emotions without crying. But occasionally, the INFP is overcome with emotion to the point that they have to let it out. They may even believe that letting something out is helpful and a wonderful method to boost their mood. Although INFPs may cry quickly, this doesn't always lead to a full-on crying session. Number 7. ENFJ. ENFJs frequently suppress their tears, especially when they are around people they care about. They will truly think about how their tears will affect other people since they do not want to overburden others with their feelings. The ENFJ will probably bottle up their emotions and maintain a false sense of well-being instead of expressing it. They don't want especially their loved ones to think they're incapable or weak. ENFJs are sometimes unexpectedly reserved when it comes to expressing their feelings. They just don't feel comfortable doing so. When they are feeling anxious or overwhelmed, they do occasionally cry, but they usually find a private location to do so. Number 8. ENFP. ENFPs are sensitive to other people and frequently cry when seeing a sad video or movie scene. However, ENFPs may attempt to look more guarded in front of others and will attempt to repress these feelings. Because they don't want to appear weak, they frequently repress those feelings. But the ENFP won't attempt to suppress these feelings if they are entirely at ease with someone. Even while ENFPs cry occasionally, they don't necessarily cry a lot. If they are alone or intoxicated, they are more likely to allow themselves to cry. Number 9. ISTP. ISTPs tend to keep their emotions to themselves and are not overly emotional people. They prefer not to let themselves cry in front of others and are unlikely to do so. ISTPs often only cry when something extremely important occurs. Thus, the tears are totally appropriate. They are rational beings that prioritize these over feelings. Number 10. ISFP. ISFPs have a tendency to be somewhat emotional, and they might cry easily. The ISFP will rarely be able to control their tears if they encounter something that triggers their emotions. They frequently make an effort to contain their tears while they are in front of other people and save this emotion for private moments. ISFPs have a strong sense of connection to the world, which causes them to feel things intensely. They have no fear of crying because they have no fear of their feelings. Number 11. ESTP. Although ESTPs make a point of avoiding crying frequently, if they are under a lot of stress, they may lose it. They typically only cry when they are by themselves or with someone they can completely rely on. ESTPs are thinking people, but they can also be a little emotional. They frequently struggle to control their emotions, especially when they are overcome by unfavorable ones. Number 12. ESFP. ESFPs are prone to emotional outbursts, especially when under a lot of stress. They are not afraid to cry, and they frequently have little problem expressing their feelings. ESTPs do not feel guilty about crying, since they recognize that emotions are a normal part of life. The ESFP has a sensitive soul, which makes them susceptible to being hurt. Number 13. INTJ. INTJs tend to suppress their feelings for a long period of time, since they don't like to linger on them. Most INTJs find crying and other overt emotional expressions to be uncomfortable. They will frequently make an effort to suppress their emotions for a long period before finally breaking. The reason why INTJs cry is because they have suppressed their feelings for far too long, until finally they make their way out through their tears. INTJs frequently try to keep this to themselves since they don't want it to happen in front of someone else. However, there are times when the INTJ simply cannot hold on if a person they care about has profoundly hurt them. Number 14. INTP. Although INTPs do have a tendency to feel things very deeply, they frequently work to suppress these feelings. INTPs don't cry often, especially in front of other people. Typically, they try to suppress their feelings and hold back their emotions. INTPs do not want to feel helpless, and they do not want to believe that they are being judged for having a particular emotion. and so, in an effort to remain composed and strong, they seek to suppress their own emotions. It is common for INTPs to experience emotional breakdowns, and they may eventually lose the ability to control their tears. They will typically strive to keep this a secret from those closest to them and hardly ever cry in public. Number 15. ENTJ. Most of the time, ENTJs do their best to maintain their guard, and they detest sobbing in front of other people. Now, usually people will suppress their feelings for a while until they ultimately force themselves to come out. The ENTJ frequently finds it difficult to control their emotions after they have been deeply betrayed by a person they trusted. Because they sincerely don't want to appear weak to others, ENTJs will make an effort to hide their tears. They may believe that doing this will make others feel that they can bully the ENTJ for expressing their grief or sadness. But when someone can trust the ENTJ enough to cry in front of them, it actually means a lot. Number 16. ENTP. ENTPs that have developed a greater comfort level with their emotions won't be embarrassed to cry on occasion. However, they rarely allow themselves to cry out completely and only do so under the most catastrophic of situations. The majority of ENTPs present a somewhat stern demeanor, yet are extremely warm on the inside. Because they care about people, they occasionally get upset when seeing sad videos or watching sad movie scenes. The ENTP may even experience a break in their normally tough exterior when they connect with that feeling. The majority of the time, however, ENTPs only cry in really dramatic circumstances. These videos will be really helpful for you.